The two-year court battle between the City of Johannesburg and employees who've now become known as the COJ130 has reached some finality. It follows the High Court in Johannesburg handing down judgment which Trade Union Federation Cosatu has dubbed a landmark decision. So the court, among others, declared that the COJ130 applicants are now permanent employees of the city. And Cosatu Gauteng Treasurer Karabo Ramahuma joins us to have a look at this judgment. Karabo, good morning to you and welcome. Thank you so much for being in our studio this morning. It's been 2 years fighting for this outcome. How does it feel?
To say it's a relief, it's an understatement. But we always maintained and we knew that lies have got short legs, and apartheid-motivated government motives have been reversed legally by the court, not with intervention of politicians. Because I know had this been resolved politically, they would be saying other things. Now, Cosatu, including its affiliate, in particular some here, which was the one that approached the court, have always maintained that this is correct, and if it's not correct, let the city approach the court to rescind those contracts.
Yeah.
But how it was done in a manner that clearly showed, disrespect for African young professionals especially, because a decision by politicians, some of whom perhaps maybe their level of education would be John Steiners and matriculants, took decision to dismiss people with PhDs, with honors, people who are aptly skilled to occupy the public service space and the municipal space as officials. Their greatest sin was their skin color. It was a racially motivated thing from a racist-led DA government. And we have always maintained, even then as some, that this is nothing but politics calculated to humiliate a black child.
Well, let's stay there for just a second, because, of course, there was a victory in the cost order for you as well, which I want to get your reaction to. But when it comes to the issue of coalition governments, this, people might cite as an example of where, it can kind of muddy the waters. And it is a big point as we go into the next election, or even as we look at the benefit of coalitions to the city. As you say, in your view, this is a racist, politically motivated, was a racist and politically motivated move, which the courts have now vindicated you on. Is that the nature of how things, is that your sense of how things generally operate in council, that decisions are political rather than practical?
They are, but they are generally political. I'm saying a case in point, when a group of adults calling themselves DA sitting in a caucus and resolve to dismiss 130 professionals, mainly professionals.
And give us a list of what these professionals were doing. So.
They were doing support, professional support for the politicians. Politicians are not professionals. They are just people who, most of them, sloganeering. They don't have the technical know-how of these things. Now, if you are a politician, I'm your PA because I've done a course to that effect, or I'm a researcher. You can't call me a politician. I don't speak in council. I don't even speak in public on behalf of politics. For instance, you have hired this one because she or he's got an honors that has got to do with research, that you would then rely on this person to say, before you go to council and how those things, you'd have had somebody who was preparing information for you. That's the goal.
So they're applying the technical support to the aspirations of the politicians in council. Is there any sign, just quickly at this juncture, whether there might be an appeal pending from the city? Is this victory too soon to celebrate?
No, it's not too soon. It's not too soon. The city actually, under the current setup of the GLU, it would appear they have sobered up. Remember, the racists no longer have power now. They are in the minority. They are not in government. We have received a statement from an acting mayor currently indicating that the GLU is an abiding government that abides by the law, and they intend abiding by the court order. So there's clarity. There's not going to be any appeal. people have sobered up.
So what does this mean now in terms of your contracts? And I think one of the extended questions then would be, what does it mean for everyone else who's in a similar situation, who might be on a temporary contract for extended periods of time, and what precedent this particular judgment would set for you?
Look, what then we expect and what we understand should be happening is that if 2 years back Karabo was in a position A earning X amount, in the light of the current judgment, he must be restored there. In fact, when the racists were arguing this, even in their court papers, they were saying we are terminating. If we think we are right, we must rush to court. If the court finds in our favor, they will restore us to where we were. So there was never a dispute about whether those people should not have been there in terms of qualifications or meeting requirements. It was just a conversion of their contract. Now, in the light of the recent judgment, what it then means is that they are deemed to be permanent as they initially were when they were converted from fixed term to permanent. You know, it says it has erased all the genocide that the DA sought to commit in City of Johannesburg, you know.
A jobs genocide.
A jobs genocide, But
in your words. So what would it mean, though, Karabo, for other workers in the city? Are you planning on advocating? Are others in a similar situation? What's going to happen next?
Once a principle in law has been established, our understanding as a union is that it must be applied across the portfolio. You know, we know that there's something called judicial precedent, and we also know that the law requires consistency, especially when it relates to labor-related issues. You can't treat employee A different from employee B.
All right.
That's our understanding.
Karabo, again, thanks for making the trip to our studio. We appreciate your time this morning. Karabo Ramahuma, just talking about this recent court judgment for the COJ130, as they've come to be known.